Economic agendas in the U.S. Senate race. Both Democrat James Talarico and Republican Ken Paxton choose North Texas to unveil their different prescriptions for making it more affordable for Texans to live. One-on-one, Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson tells us about the city's budget and the impact of AI on city employees. And Java with Jack. We take our interviews outside City Hall. This week, Irving's new mayor, Al Zaponta, who's 85, and he tells us why he ran and what he wants to do for the city. I'm Jack Fink. Get your fix for Texas politics. Eye on Politics on CBS News Texas starts now. And good Sunday morning to you. Welcome to Eye on Politics. Happy tax-free shopping weekend. With less than 3 months to go before the election, we're going to start with the very tight Texas Senate race between Republican Ken Paxton and Democrat James Talarico. Both introduced their economic agendas last week during campaign events here in North Texas. Last Tuesday, Paxton began a 4-city tour discussing his proposals that he calls, quote, protecting the Texas promise. He attracted perhaps his largest crowds yet in Collin County.
From the great state of Texas, our Attorney General, Ken Paxton.
In a sign of enthusiasm, a standing room only crowd with hundreds of supporters gathered in Allen to see Republican Senate candidate Ken Paxton.
It's a plan that we've been working on that.
The Attorney General laid out his plan called Protecting the Texas Promise. Paxton has proposed an annual $25,000 deduction on federal taxes for all out-of-pocket medical expenses. He's also calling for a $50,000 tax deduction for first-time home buyers and a subsequent $50,000 down payment deduction for people moving into a new primary residence. His plan includes a $5,000 tax deduction for spending on a healthy lifestyle, such as a GLP-1 medication and gym memberships. And he would double the child tax credit to $4,400 per child under 17. Paxton would also make the Trump accounts for children permanent.
Reducing spending is a top priority of yours. The national debt is nearly $40 trillion now. How much will your proposals that you spoke about tonight cost, and how are you going to pay for them?
Well, let me be clear. My number one idea is Save America Act. That has to be passed to protect elections. As far as tax cuts, I've never believed that tax cuts necessarily mean you have less money in the Treasury, because often, if people are able to keep more of their money, they spend it, and it runs through the economy.
Paxton went on to Houston, McAllen, and San Antonio to discuss his plan there. Before Paxton spoke, state representatives Matt Shaheen of Prosper and Jeff Leach of Allen urged supporters there and all Republicans to vote for Paxton. Shaheen and Leach had endorsed Senator John Cornyn in the primary and runoff, and Leach was also one of the Texas House impeachment managers during Paxton's impeachment trial in the Texas Senate 3 years ago. But Leach introduced Paxton, and they hugged it out very publicly.
We are at war for the future of the state of Texas. James Talarico is not moderate. And by the way, I don't know what Bible James Talarico is reading, but it's not the same Bible I'm reading, okay? James Talarico is as progressive and as radical a Democrat as I have ever come across in my time in politics.
Last month, we interviewed both Leach and Shaheen, who told us they were officially endorsing Paxton. Now to Democratic Senate candidate James Talarico. Last Wednesday, he unveiled his, quote, New American Dream initiatives in Arlington, in the heart of Tarrant County, one of the main battlegrounds in Texas this November.
Show some love for James Talarico.
Against a backdrop that looked like a party convention, Democratic Senate candidate James Talarico delivered what his campaign called a major policy speech. Before 1,300 supporters in Arlington, he laid out his vision of what he's calling the New American Dream.
I will fight to unrig this economy. I will fight to lower your costs and raise your pay. And unlike Ken Paxton, I will fight to put your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your pocket.
Talarico blamed billionaires for the affordability crisis and said he wants to rebuild labor unions, cancel medical debt, and stop hospitals and insurance companies from overcharging patients.
It is time to raise the minimum wage and expand overtime pay so workers can actually share in the wealth they create. It's time to repeal the big ugly bill's tax breaks for the top 1%. And give that $1 trillion to the middle class in the form of a cost of living tax cut.
Talarico will be campaigning on his new proposals across Texas this month before returning to North Texas. And before Talarico spoke, he was endorsed by retired Republican Tarrant County Judge Glenn Whitley. He also endorsed Democrats Kamala Harris and Colin Allred 2 years ago and Mike Collier 4 years ago in their races against their Republican counterparts.
I am ashamed of the fact that Ken Paxton is even on the ballot. I believe him to be the most corrupt politician that Texas has ever seen.
Various recent statewide polls have shown Talarico leading Paxton in the Senate race. In a Texas Southern University poll, Talarico is ahead by 2 percentage points, 47 to 45%. More than 1,200 likely voters were surveyed between July 27th and 30th. And that same poll showed 97% of Democrats said they intend to vote for Talarico, while 85% of Republicans said they intend to vote for Paxton. Analysts say Paxton needs to attract moderate Republicans to come back home and vote for him if he wants to win. Independents favor Talarico over Paxton, 63 to 23%. Controversy at the Tarrant County Commissioner's Court over a proposal to eliminate nearly half the voting sites on Election Day in November, reducing them from 316 during the 2022 midterms to just 176 this November. Most of the people who spoke during the Commissioner's Court meeting blasted the idea, calling it a form of voter suppression. County Judge Tim O'Hare cleared the chambers a couple of times when there were outbursts and when some public speakers chose to take hold of the microphone, which is a violation of policy. That included Lon Burnham, a former Democratic state representative from Fort Worth, who sheriff's deputies carried out of the room. Commissioners put off the decision until September 1st after all of them said the cut in the number of voting sites was just too deep. Republican Don Huffines is now Texas Comptroller. He was sworn in August 1st. Huffines said he's not taking a salary and is focusing on eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. He's running for the full-time position in November against Democratic State Senator Sarah Eckhart. And it was 1 week ago today we learned that former Fort Worth mayor and longtime Congresswoman Kay Granger died. She was 83. Ever since then, the tributes to her have been pouring in. When speaking with current and former elected leaders, 3 words kept coming up: trailblazer, tough, and tenacious. Granger was the first woman to be mayor of Fort Worth and the first Republican woman to represent Texas in the U.S. House and to become chair of the powerful House Appropriations Committee. We spoke with those who succeeded her in office.
Her spending all those years working her way up the Appropriations Committee as subcommittee chair, the defense chair that was so important to the city of Fort Worth in this area with the building of the F-16 and then getting the F-35, so important for her to have that, and then serving as chair of appropriations again. Incredible respect from her colleagues to get to that level.
She would often remind you that her seriousness, her work ethic is what got her there, not her gender. And she always, always wanted to be taken seriously at any table. It's something I really learned about her. People that were in meetings with Kay, or certainly for those of us that staffed for her, knew she wanted to be the most prepared.
Welcome back to Eye on Politics. Now to the Dallas City budget, which will be discussed at City Hall on Tuesday. In an exclusive interview, Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson told me the city should have been cutting its budget years ago. And he also said he believes AI will help reduce the number of employees needed at the city.
And then I think we have to be very, very much focused on efficiency going forward. Data center debate aside, we've got to get comfortable with the idea that AI is going to be something that is going to benefit the taxpayers of Dallas in the long run. We're going to have to become more efficient with everything we do around here, and AI is going to be able to help us with that. Procurement is a great example of an area where at some point, I'm just going to make up a number, you may be able to reduce by 50% or more the number of human beings and salary and benefits you have to associate with procurement. That may be an area that AI can very easily help make us more efficient in and reduce the need for additional headcount. So yes, ultimately, Jack, I do see city government getting smaller. And I mean in a personnel sense, yes.
And you're saying that AI is going to contribute to that?
It already is, and it's going to have to contribute even more.
And what do you mean as far as like numbers? Like city manager and her budget people are working on this now, incorporating AI to reduce the need for employees?
Yeah, I think they are already looking at areas that are heavily right now dominated by data analysis. Things where, to issue a permit or to, in the case of procurement, to evaluate who we're going to do business with, we ask for volumes and volumes of information. And we've got human beings just poring over volumes of information that could be fed to an AI supported computer to help us analyze a lot faster and frankly make fewer mistakes and be more efficient about it. You just need the human beings to check the work. That's the kind of thing that we're going to have to get even more serious about. We're already doing it in certain areas. You could talk to the city manager's office about where they are and where they aren't doing that. But I have a feeling that that is an area that we will not be able to avoid looking into if we want to actually reduce the tax burden on our residents and make this government right-sized. We really should have been slowing down the growth of government all this time. Like, it's grown too much and it's gotten into too many things. And so our tax burden is what it is, I'll say it this way. I think what Austin understands, when they look at these numbers, is that city governments don't have a revenue problem. We don't have a revenue problem. Like I said, we've added $30 billion to our city's tax base since I took office, $30 billion. Year over year, we've had nothing but growth year over year, every year. Like I said, this last year was 5% growth, and that was a slower year. And of that growth, on average, a third of it comes from new construction. I'll put that in another sense. Of all this incredible year over year growth, on average, at least a third of it is coming from brand new construction, not just revaluing what you had before. Although revaluation is also growth. I mean, it means the stuff that you have is more valuable. People value the city of Dallas more than they did the year before, but we're building more things here. So I think state government understands you've got plenty of money, but you're choosing to spend it all. You're choosing to go out and tax to the limit that you can, as opposed to thinking about how you can return that value to your residents. And they want us to think differently about that. And I don't think they're wrong about that. I just wish we were doing it on our own.
So let's talk about next year's budget. What we heard, $51 million projected shortfall. Obviously, the city manager is going to propose a balanced budget because that's the law. But the question is, how does she get there? You've made some suggestions. So talk to me about your suggestions to her.
Well, we'll see what she recommends, but I have a lot of confidence that this city manager really is aligned with my vision for the city in terms of making public safety the #1 priority in the city and continuing to honor it as the #1 priority in the city. I think the budget will reflect that. I hope it reflects that. And if it doesn't reflect that in the first instance, of course, the city council has the ultimate say on what the budget has in it when we adopt it. And I also want to make sure that we prioritize continuing down the path that we've been down every year since I've been mayor. We've reduced the tax rate in this city. And that's not just for for bragging rights to say it. It's because it helps keep us competitive with our neighbors and with other major cities that are competing for businesses and people. So we need to continue down that path of tax reduction. But competitive means there's not some number I have in my head, just sort of an arbitrary number. It means relative to what other cities are doing, and other cities are facing tough times too.
So you don't have a set number that you want to see as far as the drop in the property tax rate?
I would like to see as much tax relief as possible while honoring public safety as our top priority. And I think I've recommended in my memo to the city manager ways to try to get there.
Now, with regards to public safety, there's a meet and confer negotiations going on with the police and fire associations and the city. And from what I've read, the associations are not happy because they haven't gotten any concrete response from the city. So where are you on all this?
I'm confident that we'll get there. We always do.
Now to a new occasional series we're calling Java with Jack. It is Sunday morning after all, and our first guest is Irving's new mayor, Al Zaponta. We met at the Pax and Beneficia coffee shop in Las Colinas, and the mayor told us his #1 priority is to develop the old site of Texas Stadium where the Dallas Cowboys played. But first, I had to ask the former city council member why he wanted to run for mayor, especially because he's 85.
Jack, I'm going to make it really blunt, just like my father who made it to 96. You stop challenging yourself, or you stop doing things that you enjoy doing and that you feel you can make a difference, you die within 3 to 5 years. I've seen so many of my friends that retired from Arco, Oil and Gas, Atlantic Richfield, or my military, and they just wait for the time to retire. And then whatever they're doing, but it's like you lose a reason for being. And no, I've got 3 retirements and I'm not done.
So what do you want to accomplish?
We have what I call a dead asset, and that's the 80 acres of the former Dallas Cowboys site, stadium site. It's been there 14 years.
Wow.
Not a penny coming in. If anything, maintaining to kind of keep it clean, so to speak. And some of the other, but that's a focus #1. What can I do in these 3 years that I'm now the mayor to find the right partner to come in there and do it together with us, because we own that 80 acres. We don't want to just sell it. We want to do a joint effort. Why? Because I want to bring in the kind of tax base, I want to bring in the kind of jobs, economic development, which you're going to probably ask me, well, what about the 200 plus acres that are adjacent by the Adelson family of Sands Corp? Great. They're a partner, but they're not on that site, but we can be partners. And I will say it very bluntly, as a city, we are not ready to even talk about gambling or casinos.
I'm going to ask you about that.
Well, I'm putting it out front.
Yeah.
Okay, and that.
You're not interested.
No, because you know why? It's illegal. We met with Brad Alberts, president of the Stars, and his financial partners at the, I think up in the Plano area. But
Was this before they announced their...
After. And what they said to me and us at that time with my city manager and my head of the Irving Las Colinas Chamber of Commerce, very pointedly saying, you have the #1 prize site in all of Texas right there in the former Dallas Cowboys site. We know that. We think we have a vision for your site. And I said, really? Let's talk about that. They laid it out, and I said, yeah, that's interesting.
Can you disclose details?
No, because we haven't signed the letter of,
Okay.
of interest.
But we'll be the first to know about it, right?
Jack, you have my word.
Okay.
Because I haven't talked to anybody else. You're the first one that's asking me,
Yeah.
how do you plan to lay out your 3 years into this one? I gave you my #1.
Yeah.
This could be another option. It may or may not be, and I don't mind putting it out there, the Mavericks. I'd love them here. Hey.
Continue to, because I know they have their set site in North Dallas, but have you had conversations with them?
Yes.
Since they announced in North Dallas would be their...
Yeah, I mean, we have the site, Jack. And you know, at the end of the day, I'm open to talk to any and all, to include them.
25 states are suing the Trump administration over a new round of tariffs. Sarah Jenkins explains in the brief.
The lawsuit challenges new Section 301 tariffs imposed last month on imports from 60 economies, with duties ranging from 10 to 12.5%. The White House says the tariffs are aimed at countries that fail to crack down on goods made with forced labor. California Attorney General Rob Bonta, who's leading the lawsuit, says the tariffs are illegal and will raise costs for American families and small businesses, calling them taxes that consumers ultimately pay. The administration defends the move as a lawful effort to protect U.S. commerce and workers. The case was filed in the U.S. Court of International Trade. For The Brief, I'm Sarah Jenkins.
All right, thank you, Sarah. And don't forget, you can watch all our full interviews from today's show. Just go to our CBS Texas YouTube page and check out the Eye on Politics playlist. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button. And that's all for Eye on Politics today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Jack Fink. I am listening, and we are listening to you at CBS News Texas. From all of us here, have a great Sunday. See you next week.